guys, this is Boris, otherwise known as Luke James Stevens, and I'm going to give you a bit of a walkthrough of some PHP code that we've got going on here. So this is to do with the light that Jay put together, and this is the PHP implementation of it. So I'm going to show you the server side of it. So I'll first show you this page here, and then we'll dig into how these buttons work. So what I'll do is I'll load up terminal. So this is my way of getting into the server. LAN panel is just an old domain name that I bought, that I've been using and hosting most of the things off. So we'll jump in there. SSH is a command which is secure shell host, I think it stands for, and basically it's the way that we can jump into any Linux server. Most Linux servers have this running by default since the beginning of time, so it's pretty old. Alrighty, so I'm just jumping into public directory, and we can go we never complain, and then jumping into pi-home. So in the URL we'll see that it is in pi-home at wenevercomplain.com. And this is the main.php file. So ls is our listing, so we can do listings on Linux. So what I'll do is I'll just use vim, which is a command line editor. So another handy thing about Linux, this can be expected on every single Linux machine. So that's pretty handy, knowing that it's always there. So I'll just do another listing. This time long, so it goes in a nice little list. Alrighty, so just jumping into main. Make this a little bit bigger for you guys so you can see what's going on. And I'll jump to the top of the file. So there's lots of little commands with this, like GG takes you to the top of the file, Shift G takes you to the bottom. If you guys are ever into command line editing, I would highly recommend Vim. That's a really good editor. So obviously got syntax highlighting and all that sort of stuff. So I'll just do a quick rundown of this file. So I've included some themes from jQuery because we're hoping to pretty this page up a little bit. So that's there just for that, and we also have a script here which is jQuery's main UI script. So this runs all of your animations and all that sort of thing, and theme changes. So we're not really using that at the moment, but it's there. A whole bunch of style sheet stuff here, which some of you guys might be familiar with. Pretty sure you guys would have worked with that. So I won't delve into that too much. So this is the juicy bit. This is the bit I want to explain. So what I've done is I have used multiple forms. So for each form we're grouping up this turn on, turn off, and the current state. So the interesting bit here is I'll just turn on line numbers so that I can explain. So line, say 25. I can also jump to any line, so if I go 25, Shift G, it'll take me to that line. A bit like we did GG to get to the top, except you just throw a number in front instead of pressing it twice. So the action on this form is pointing at light status, not Android. So I built two ways to update these states here, 0, 1, 1, 1, because I think we were having like a redirect problem in the back end. So yeah, I'll explain that potentially in another video because I don't want to delve into that too much right now. So this bit here, I'll just highlight it. Ooh, no, I won't, because I pressed the wrong thing. Cool, so this line 29, what we're doing is we're storing the status inside sorry, we're getting the contents of the file. So file get contents, and we're storing into a variable. So that variable then we can use later, and so I won't jump into that yet. I'll explain what get file contents is. So basically the manual, so the Bible for PHP developers is this page here, php.net, and we can throw in file get contents into here, and this will give us a description of it. So PHP developers commonly refer to this because this is effectively every single function that's built into the programming language PHP. So it's definitely very handy because you get to know why it was invented and all that sort of stuff, and the parameters that it takes in. But the most important bit is how to use it. So this will show you a nice example here. So what we're doing is we're using this function to effectively grab all the contents of this file and throwing it into a variable, which we can then use later. So I'll just quickly show you what that looks like, what this file looks like. So status.txt. So we can open it up. VSP is vertical split screen, so we can actually open up two windows here. So you'll notice we've got 0, 111, so that will be reflecting what we've got on screen there as well. So that's pretty handy. I might actually just do a split screen on that one, so we can jump between the two windows, which is handy when you want to grab, say, line 25 to 30. So I can actually go Y for yank and 30 Shift G like we did before to move to the line. We can also use Shift G to grab that line, and I can jump back up here and hit paste, and voila. So there's nice little shortcuts in there like that, which most modern editors would have, I'd imagine. Alrighty then. So that's the basics of that, and it's storing it as a string in the status variable. So what I'm able to do is here I can type status and just put in the number character that I want. So each one will have different numbers, obviously. So 1 will be position 1, and yeah, and in programming languages, especially backend, everything points to 0 as a starting point and then goes up from there. So computers start counting at 0 mostly. But I think some front-end languages might not do that. So I thought I'd better mention that just in case. So effectively we'll just repeat it over that. So what I'll do now is I'll jump up and open where this data is being sent to. Light status not android.php. So here it's gonna be a little messy. I gotta clean up some of this, so let's do that. Actually, I might as well use that as an example. So these two lines I've got in here, these echoes. So this is functions that you can search as well. There's echo and print. They're the two common things to put anything to the screen. So like we have on the file down the bottom, you'll notice that there's PHP tags. So PHP is actually like an embedded language. So what happens is when we go to this website, it will trigger this PHP code to run. So it's not actually pre-compiled, which means we can make changes to it and they're effective immediately. So we can refresh the page and they're there. Whereas some languages like Java, we have to compile sometimes twice because some pointers things don't match up, which can be interesting if you're trying to debug something that hasn't been compiled properly, because you may end up changing code quite a lot before you realize that you didn't compile. So this is the nice thing about PHP, is it's runtime, so it's on the fly. So I'll just quickly run through this file. So status, again, we're dragging in that file, so we're getting the contents of it. So we'll get 0, 1, 1, 1, 1 in a string, which will look just like this. So that will be stored as a string. So we can use double quotes or single quotes. So this echo line here, I was just debugging. So when I actually hit turn off, it was going to a page, and all that page had was, this is the thing, status 1, and it grabs the first character, which is the actual real second character. So it would return 1. So this is the thing 1, and light number would be the light number that we wanted to change, which is also 1. So that's a bit of old code there. So this is a bit different. So we got, rather than file get contents, we got fopen. So fopen is file stream open, which we can also look up in the manual. So I'll let you guys do that, but you believe me, it's there. So what that does is allows us to open the file, and it asks us for attributes. So what mode we want to open that file in. So whether it's writable or whether it's readable only. So we're actually opening it for writable appending, which is the plus. And we can look up those things in here. So I don't remember any of these things usually. So I usually just use this as a reference. But if you do it enough times, it's hard to get out of the memory. So there you go. So one of the problems I had was if the light number was not set. So this is what this line here, number 12 now, is doing. It's going if exclamation mark, which means the opposite of whatever you're doing. So if light number is not set in our post, which is down here, light number. So this is just a hidden input field that we've got going on, and its value is 2. So that'll be this fella here. That will be the second last one, because I've also made the counting to be in line with what's being stored here. So what we got going on here is if no light number is set, because sometimes you might get people trying to do dodgy things. So I think I did this on purpose at one point, which it effectively killed all of the string, so it set it to null, which is not ideal. So we catch that error if it happens and redirect back to this page here that we're looking at. So with fopen, you've always got to close these. So there's a certain way you've got to run these functions. So in terms of order, like you must open it first and then do your write or whatever you're going to do, and always close it, because if you don't, then if some other program wants to open that file, it won't be able to write to it. It will be able to open it, but they'll definitely have a bit of an argument on that. So this is the actual juicy bits. Line 18 to 23 are what's doing the magic. So if set post on, so what that is looking for is whether we've pressed the on button or the off button. So it can handle all of these ones. We haven't got individual is set for each on off, which means we can just add more as we need them. So what that's doing is checking for that button on is pressed, and then what we're doing is we're using the status, which from earlier, if we go up the top, status has these values 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, and we just go back down. We're actually accessing the status string, and we're accessing, normally in here we could put in 0, 1, 2, 3, and that would mean that we're accessing the first record, second, third, or fourth. So rather than doing that, we're actually using light number. So when we submit this form, aka we click on or off, it'll also send in these variables. So we get the light number as 2 if we pressed on here or off, and depending on which submit button we press, off or on will come through as well. So this is assuming we've clicked on. It's going to that specific spot, so this will be 2, and then it is setting it to 1 because this is Boolean. We've decided to go Boolean, so 1 or 0, it's dead or alive. So we're going to make this light alive, so that is one lucky light he gets to live today. So that's what's happening here when we click on. It's running this file and it's running this logic here. So yeah, so it's effectively the same for the off, so I won't go through that. So yeah, it effectively goes to 0 instead of 1 in the file. It writes it out and closes the file. And header is also a built-in PHP function that you can actually give it a URL in here. So I've just decided to make it main. So what's actually happening here? So when we hit this form, it is going into this page, running all this logic, and before you can even tell what's happened, it's redirecting back to the same page. So this is good, which means we can do this sort of thing, and it takes a while to load. And it looks like we haven't actually left the page. We have, in fact, but yeah, a bit of trickery going on there. So yeah, that's the effective rundown of how that PHP code is running. So there's also one last file, which is lights update. So this will be for the Android version. I'm getting a little bit of lag here because it's running across. This is the American server, so it's so it can lag a little bit sometimes. So this is doing the same thing, but we're sending back a little message here to Jay, as you can see. Jay, the keeper of the light. So we should be getting that on his Android code, and we needed to echo that back rather than the redirect, because the Raspberry Pi was a bit upset that we were getting this page back. It wanted a string, so yeah, we're just sending a nice string here to say good day. Yeah, that's the rundown. Hopefully this is useful to you guys. Let me know if there's anything I can do better. Thinking I could do this in a text form as well, so just a website you can quickly read through that explains each chunk of code, because I know that people like to learn differently. So if you guys can give me any feedback, that'd be awesome. All right, have a good one.